Let's take a look at the distance and midpoint formulas and circles. First thing we'll talk about is the distance formula. Let's start a new page. And our distance formula goes like this. Given 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2, our distance is the square root of y2 minus y1 squared plus x2 minus x1 squared. Let's look at our first problem. We're given 3, negative 5, and 9 and negative 7. Instructions are to find a distance between each pair of points. If necessary, round 2 decimal places. I won't actually plug this in my calculator. I like the exact answers myself. Well, given these 2 points, first thing we'll label them. This is our first point, so that'll be our x1, y1. This is our second point, so that'll be our x2, y2. I'm going to go through and I'm going to put parentheses in wherever I have a variable. Make my outer parentheses a little bit bigger. Same thing here. And again, this is y2, this is y1, this is x2, and this is x1. You'll find you'll make less mistakes sign-wise if you put parentheses in before you plug in your variables. Doesn't eliminate it completely, but it helps. y2 we said was negative 7, y1 is negative 5, x2 is 9, and x1 is 3. Well, my first set of parentheses here, we got negative parentheses negative, that becomes a positive, so we got negative 7 plus 5 squared, plus 9 minus 3 gives us 6 squared. Well, negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2, so negative 2 squared plus 6 squared, which is 36. Now negative 2 squared, negative 2 times negative 2 gives us a positive 4 plus 36, which gives us a square root of 40. Now 40 we can break down. That's 2, 4, 8, 40. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Remember, at square roots we're looking for pairs of something. In this case we have a pair of 2's. So that pair of 2's is going to come out in front as a single 2. And we're left with a 2 times 5 inside, which gives us 10. So we'd have 2 square root of 10 for our answer. Let's look at our second problem. We got 3 square root of 2, 2 square root of 5, and negative square root of 2 and 4 square root of 5. Same instructions, find distance between each pair of points. So this is our first point, so I'll label that as x1, y1. This is our second point, so that'll be x2, y2. And we got, let's see, parentheses minus parentheses, all that squared, plus parentheses minus parentheses, all that's squared. This is our y2, this is y1, this is x2, this is x1. Okay, so y2 we said was 4 square root of 5. y1 is 2 square root of 5. x2 is negative square root of 2. And x1 is 3 square root of 2. Okay, if your square roots are the same, like this right here, they both have a square root of 5, you add or subtract the numbers that are out in front. Well, we got 4 minus 2, so that gives us 2 square root of 5 squared, plus Now these square roots are the same too. They both have square root of 2, so I'll add numbers out in front. And I got -1, -3, which gives us -4 square root of 2 squared. Well, if you're raising something to a power and everything inside the parentheses is multiplication or division, you can take everything to that power. So I can take the 2 to the second power and the square root of 5 to the second power. Over here I can take the -4 to the second power and the square root of 2 to the second power. So that gives us 2 squared and square root of 5 squared plus -4 squared and square root of 2 squared. Well, 2 squared is 4. When you're squaring a square root, when the index matches your power, they cancel each other out, and you're left with what's underneath the radical, so we're just left with 5. -4 squared is 16, and square root of 2 to the second power gives us 2. Well, 4 times 5 is 20. 16 times 2 is 32, which gives us 52, which is 2 times 2 times 13, I think. Yeah. We're looking for pairs of something. Here's a pair of 2s, so those are going to come out in front as a single 2. So our answer would be 2 square root of 13. Let me start a new page, and then we'll work the next problems. This is using the midpoint formula. This will find a midpoint between 2 points. So, given 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. Now, our midpoint, we add together the x parts. So I got x1 plus x2 divided by 2. And we add together our y parts, and then divide by 2. So let's look at a problem dealing with that. We got -5, -9, and -3, -4. This is our first point. Check those. This is our first point, so that'd be our x1, y1. This is our second point, so that's x2, y2. Now really, there's no need probably to put extra parentheses in here. Hardly anybody messes up on the signs on this particular one. So we're going to add together the x parts. So we've got -5 minus 3 over 2. And we'll add together y parts. We've got -9 minus 4 over 2. Well, -5, -3 is -8. So we've got -8 halves. -9, -4 is -13. So we've got -13 halves. And -4 over 2, or -8 over 2 gives us -4. Shouldn't think of the answer. And then that's -13 halves. So that'd be our answer. Excuse me. Okay, given these 2 points, it says find a midpoint again. Well, wherever you are in math, if you can simplify your radicals, do that before you go on. The square root of 40 I can break down. 40 is 2, 4, 8, 40. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Now we're looking for a pair of something. Here's a pair of 2s. Those can come out as a single 2. So we're going to have 2, and then we're left with a 2 times 5 inside, which is 10. So we've got 2 square root of 10, -3, and then over here, square root of 10, and 3. This makes your life so much easier if you don't, go ahead and simplify them before you go on. Don't leave them in their original form. Now this is our first point, so this will be x1, this will be y1. This is our second point, so that'll be x2, and that'll be y2. So our midpoint, we add together the x parts. So I got 2 square root of 10 plus square root of 10 divided by 2. And we'll add together the y parts. So we got -3 plus 3 and divide by 2. Well, if the square roots are the same, you add or subtract the numbers that are out in front. There's an invisible 1 in front of this square root of 10, so 2 plus 1 gives us 3. Square root of 10 over 2. Negative 3 plus 3 gives us 0 over 2. So we get 3 square root of 10 over 2, and then 0 divided by anything is 0. And that would be our answer. I'm going to start a new page for the next problem. This is circles. And we have our standard form that looks like this. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. And if we have it in that form, our center is going to be hk, and our radius will be r. Now we have our general form, where we have, and to be honest, I have no clue what the variables this particular book uses, or even what a lot of them do. But we have a number before x squared, then plus bx plus c y squared plus dy plus e is equal to 0, where a, b, c, and d are numbers of some sort. Now I put them in this form for a specific reason. Usually they have them reversed. They'll put all the squared parts first, and all the x and y, and then the number. But this will become important for us to group the x's together, group the y's together. Let's look at our first problem. Our center is -2, -4, and the radius is square root of 3. The instructions say, write the standard form of the equation of the circle with a given center and radius. Well, they're giving us the center and they're giving us the radius, and from our formula, that would mean this is our h, so h is -2, and this is our k, so k is -4, and we got r, so we want to plug this into our standard form. So I have x minus a -2 squared plus y minus a -4 squared equals the square root of 3 to the second power. Now here negative negative gives us positive, so we got x plus 2 squared. Negative negative here gives us positive, so we got y plus 4 squared. And when you got a square root and you're raising that second power, they cancel each other away and leave you the 3. Again, if your index, that number in the little slot here, is by default 2 if you don't have a number. If your index matches your power, they cancel each other away. This would be our answer. And, okay, I was just wondering if they want us to graph it. I guess they don't on that one. Let's take a look at the next one. I'll probably just graph one of these. They're kind of boring, the graphs of them. But if you've never seen a circle before, then you probably should see it. Okay, so we got x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 16. It says give the center and radius of the circle described by the equation and graph each equation. Well, this is already in standard form. We got x plus or minus a number squared. We got y plus or minus a number squared. So this is going to be our h, and it's always going to be opposite sign. So h is -2. Now this is going to be our k, and it'll also be opposite sign. So k is going to equal to positive 3. And this is going to be r, and we're going to take the square root of it. So r is going to equal square root of 16, which gives us 4. So our center is hk. which we said h was -2 and k is 3. And our radius is r, which is 4. Okay, so let's take a look at the graph. -2, 3. Our center is at -2, 3, so I come there and put my dot. That's my center. Now I'm going to go out a distance of 4 in any direction. Your best ones are to go up, down, left, or right. Do not go on an angle. That's too hard. So, okay, I'm going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where the outer edge of my circle will be. So I'll draw around the center equal distance. No matter if I go up, down, left, or right, the radius should always be 4. If I go at an angle, it should still be 4. So that would be our graph. Now let's take a look at the next one. We got x squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 1. Now standard form says you have to have x plus or minus a number. So I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to put x minus or x plus, whichever you choose. And this is y plus 4, so that's good. And 1. Well, you have to think, what number can I put in here such I don't change its original value? And that'd be 0. Because x minus 0 is x, and x to the second power is x squared. So we haven't changed it. It looks a little bit different. We just haven't changed its original value. Now this is going to be h, and it's going to be opposite sign. The reason why I said it could be a negative or positive, because 0 doesn't have a sign. So opposite sign of 0 is still just 0. This is going to be k, and it's going to be opposite sign, which would be -4. And this is r, and we take square root of it. So square root of 1 gives us 1. Our center is hk, which will be 0, -4. And our radius will be r, which is 1. So those are our answers. And let me start a new page for the next problem. Okay, so we got x squared plus y squared minus 8x minus 16y plus 76 equals 0. Now this is our general form. Remember how I said you have the the squareds first, and then the first powers second, x, and then y, then your number. Well, this procedure is writing a circle in general form not that I can spell. Try that again. In general form, so writing a circle in general form into standard form. Okay, so our first step. Actually, you don't have to do it for any of these problems here, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it here just for completeness sake. Our first step is to divide everything by the number in front of the x squared. Well, there isn't a number in front of our x squared, so we don't have to worry about that. You'll find none of your problems in a section will need that step. But okay, step 2. Group the x's, group the y's, take the number to the right side. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Group the x's. I put the x squared minus 8x next to each other. I put a line underneath them like that. I put the y squared next to the -16y line anything like that. And when I say take the number to the right side, I'm talking about the constant term. So I'll take 76 over, it becomes a negative 76. Well, step 2. Complete the square on the x's and complete the square on the y's. And let me do part of it here. So for x's, remember with completing the square, we take the number before the x, which is negative 8. You multiply it times a half, and you square it. It's always times a half, it's always squared. Well, negative 8 times a half is negative 4. Negative 4 squared gives us 16. And then we would add that to both sides. Now specifically, I'm going to add it to the x's on the left side. Try it again. There we go. Now for the y's. I'm going to take the number that's before our y, which is negative 16. I'll multiply it times a half and I'll square it. It's always times a half, it's always squared. Negative 16 times a half is negative 8, and negative 8 squared gives us 64. And we're going to add that to both sides. So I got y squared minus 16y plus 64. Then I'll add 64 over here. And again, I'm grouping those together. Now remember, with completing a square, we're going to factor these now. This factors as x minus 4 squared. And this one factors as y minus 8 squared. And I have no clue what this gives us. 70, 80, 80 minus that. Okay, 4. Now it's very easy. Right here, right inside the parentheses, right before you square it, sign included. See how it's negative 4? That's what goes right here, negative 4. Over in the y's, we have a negative 8 right before we squared it. That's what goes right there. It makes that factoring so easy. Now at this point, this is in standard form. So we're done, basically. This is going to be, they probably want us to identify a center and radius. Okay. This is going to be our h, and its opposite sign, so it'll be positive 4. And this is our k, and its opposite sign will be 8. And this is our r, and we'll take square root of it. So square root of 4, and we get r is equal to 2. So our center is hk, which is 4, 8. And our radius will be r, which is 2. And those will be your answers. Let's look at another one of those. We have x squared plus y squared plus 7x plus 9y plus 49 over 4. Now step 1 we don't have to do still. That's divide everything by the number in front of your x squared. Step 2, group the x's together. So I got x squared plus 7x. Group the y's together. So I got y squared plus 9y. And take the number or the constant term over to the right side. So then it becomes negative 49 over 4. Okay, so we want to complete the square on the x's. So let's come over here, we'll do the x's. Number before our x is 7. So we're going to take 7 times a half and squared. That gives us 7 half squared, or 49 over 4. And we want to add that to both sides. So I got x squared plus 7x plus 49 over 4. And over here I got negative 49 over 4 plus 49 over 4. Well, let's also complete square in the y's. We'll take our number for our y, which is 9. Take it times a half and square it. 9 times a half is 9 halves. And 9 halves squared gives us 81 over 4. And we want to add that to both sides. So we got y squared plus 9y plus 81 over 4. And add 81 over 4 over here. Okay, we want to factor the x's now, so that becomes x plus 7/2 squared. And we want to factor the y's, that becomes y plus 9/2 squared. Over on the right side, the negative 49 over 4 plus 49 over 4 cancels, and we're left with 81 over 4. And this is in standard form now. Now, I forgot to mention. Again, do not forget, it makes it so easy. This number right here, right before you square it, is always what goes right here, sign included. This number right here, right before you square it, is always what goes right here, sign included. So that's a very easy way you can factor those. Well, this is going to be our h, and it's going to be opposite sign, so that's negative 7/2. And this is going to be our k, and it's going to be opposite sign, which is negative 9/2. And this is going to be r, and we just take square root of it. Now, 9 times 9 gives you 81, and 2 times 2 gives you 4, so this becomes 9/2. So our center is hk, which is negative 7/2, negative 9/2. And our radius is r, which is 9/2. Now, if you're wondering, why is it opposite sign? In our standard form, we had x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Notice how these have a minus in here. Whenever you have a minus in there, that always flips the sign of whatever you're finding. And I believe that's the last in that section. So I guess we're ready to save this and call good.